Over the years, I have come into contact with people that believe in Yeshua and yet reject Paul. This is interesting because Paul is responsible for a great deal of the Netzrim Ketuvim, otherwise known as the New Testament, and some of the books he didn't write are written in part about him or in support of him. Rejecting Paul means rejecting nearly all the testimonies of the Netzrim sect of the Jews. It is important to step back and look at what the rejection of this man and his teachings does in terms of what else it pulls into its vortex. A rejecter of Paul loses all the books that are attributed to his authorship, such as Romans, 1 and 2 Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians, Colossians, 1 and 2 Thessalonians, and 1 and 2 Timothy, and Titus and Philemon, and arguably the book of Hebrews, which is attributed to him by some scholars. Furthermore, the rejection of Paul causes the loss of arguably the most central book of the Netzrim movement's history, the book of Acts, written by Rabbi Silas, who is commonly misunderstood to be a Gentile named Luke. The book of Acts is believed to be a follow-up to the book of Luke, which was addressed, like the book of Luke, to the then current high priest of Israel. Why is this important? Well, unlike the other Besorah writings, Rabbi Silas never actually met Yeshua, which does single him out as he writes part 2, which is the book of Acts, which ultimately champions Paul. So with the rejection of Paul, out goes the book of Acts and Luke. 2 Peter not only mentions Shaul but defends his teachings in 2 Peter 3, 15 and 16, and in 1 Peter we find direct references to several of Paul's letters, such as in 1 Peter 2, 2 through 5, which directly underscores some of the thoughts found in 1 Corinthians 3. So with the rejection of Paul also comes the rejection of 1 and 2 Peter. So that is 18 books of the Netzrim Ketuvim, over half of it gone. Paul is chronicled to have had the biggest impact on the Netzrim movement, interacting with all the major players who were still living since the time of Yeshua. So the rejection of Paul causes the student to either reject critical history of the movement's foundation, or to confess that all the heavyweights, Rabbi Ben Navi, Barnabas, Silas, Luke, and of course Yaakov, that is James, were despicably deceived by accepting Paul into their fold and giving him authority to expand the frontiers of the movement. Yaakov himself is found assigning verbal and written orders to Shaul, which he goes out to faithfully execute. Even before a person begins to examine Paul, we find that rejecting him and his teachings immediately removes a wide array of the key books of the Netzrim Ketuvim, and a rejection of Paul instantly rejects Netzrim history, or at least calls into question the discernment of anyone who is anyone in the crucial formative years of the Nazarenes.
I declare bankruptcy!